If you think you've been scammed before, just be glad you weren't the guy who actually bought the Eiffel Tower. Yes, that's right, someone, a real, living, breathing businessman, handed over a small fortune for a monument that was never for sale. And who was the mastermind behind this outrageous scheme? None other than Viktor Lustig, the greatest conman of his time, a man so smooth he could probably convince the sun to shine at night and get paid for it. Lustig wasn't just any criminal. He was an artist of deception, a true virtuoso of fraud, a man who could swindle kings and crooks alike while making them believe he had done them a favor. He didn't just cheat people, he did it with such charm, intelligence, and flair that his victims often didn't realize they had been duped until much later, by which time Lustig was usually halfway across the world, sipping champagne and planning his next masterpiece of mischief. The story begins in Paris in 1925, a time when the city was still recovering from the chaos of World War I. The Eiffel Tower, built in 1889 for the World's Fair, was starting to show signs of wear and tear. In fact, there were serious debates about whether it should be dismantled, as many Parisians still saw it as an eyesore rather than a beloved landmark. Lustig, ever the opportunist, saw in this situation not a problem, but an opportunity so absurd, so daring, so utterly ridiculous that only a man of his audacity could even consider attempting it. He was going to sell the Eiffel Tower for scrap metal. The plan required meticulous preparation, but Lustig was nothing if not meticulous. He had fake government documents prepared, all complete with official-looking stamps and signatures, making him appear to be a highly placed official from the French Ministry of Posts and Telegraphs. Dressed in an impeccable suit, with the air of a man accustomed to handling affairs of great importance, he reserved a suite at the prestigious Hotel de Crillon, a hotel so luxurious that simply setting foot in its lobby made anyone feel important. From there, he sent out invitations to 5 of the most prominent scrap metal dealers in Paris, summoning them for a highly confidential meeting regarding an exclusive business opportunity. The businessmen arrived at the meeting with a mixture of curiosity and eagerness, each hoping to gain an inside track on whatever lucrative deal was about to unfold. Lustig, ever the master showman, welcomed them warmly and proceeded to weave an elaborate tale. He explained that the French government had come to a difficult decision: the Eiffel Tower, that enormous iron structure in the middle of Paris, was becoming too expensive to maintain. The repairs were constant, the public sentiment toward it remained lukewarm at best, and the government had finally decided that the best course of action was to dismantle it and sell it for scrap. Of course, this was a delicate matter. The government could not risk a public outcry, which was why everything had to be handled discreetly, away from the press. That was why only a handful of select, highly trusted scrap metal dealers had been invited to submit their bids. This was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Lustig told them, an exclusive deal that only the most serious and reputable businessmen would have a chance to be part of. As Lustig spoke, he carefully observed the men, searching for his ideal target. He knew that in any group of people, there was always one person who was just desperate enough, just ambitious enough, just insecure enough to fall for a grand illusion. That person, he soon realized, was André Poisson, a businessman who was eager to make a name for himself in the industry. Poisson was slightly less established than the others, a little less confident in his position, and most importantly, deeply anxious to prove himself as a major player. Lustig could practically smell the vulnerability, and he moved in for the kill. After the meeting, Lustig arranged a private conversation with Poisson, during which he hinted, oh so subtly, that while all the dealers had an equal chance of securing the contract, certain arrangements could be made to ensure that Poisson's bid was looked upon more favorably. Government officials, after all, had a way of expecting gratitude in situations like these. Poisson, nervous but thrilled, took the bait. Not only did he agree to pay for the Eiffel Tower, but he also handed over a generous bribe to keep everything running smoothly. Lustig, ever the professional, accepted the money with grace and reassured Poisson that everything would proceed exactly as planned. Then, without so much as a second glance, he packed his bags, boarded a train to Vienna, and disappeared. The beauty of the scam was that Poisson was too embarrassed to report it. Imagine going to the police and admitting that you had just purchased one of the most famous landmarks in the world, only to realize you had been tricked. His pride kept him silent, allowing Lustig to vanish without a trace. Incredibly, after waiting a few months to let the heat die down, Lustig actually returned to Paris and attempted the exact same scam a second time. It was only during this second attempt that one of the dealers grew suspicious and alerted the authorities. Lustig, sensing trouble, fled the city before they could catch him, leaving behind a trail of baffled businessmen and one very confused police force. But the Eiffel Tower scam was just one of Lustig's many exploits. He had spent years perfecting the art of the con, dazzling people with his intelligence, confidence, and sheer audacity. One of his most famous tricks was the money printing machine scam, in which he would demonstrate a small device that could supposedly print $100 bills. The trick was that the machine actually contained 2 real banknotes inside, which it would produce before mysteriously running out of ink. By the time the victim realized the machine was useless, Lustig was long gone, along with their money. And if you think swindling wealthy businessmen was impressive, Lustig even had the nerve to con Al Capone himself. He convinced the infamous gangster to invest $50,000 in a business venture, only to return the money later, claiming the deal had fallen through. Capone, impressed by his honesty, rewarded him with a generous sum, never realizing that Lustig had planned the entire con just to gain his trust. Despite his remarkable run, even a genius like Lustig couldn't stay ahead of the law forever. In 1935, he was finally caught for counterfeiting and sentenced to 20 years in Alcatraz. Even then, he never lost his charm. When asked to list his occupation on prison documents, he simply wrote, "Confidence man." He died in prison in 1947, but his legacy lives on, inspiring countless stories about the art of deception. He remains a legend, a man who proved that with enough confidence, intelligence, and a well-tailored suit, you can sell anything, even the Eiffel Tower.